Imagine a ship, grander than any other, setting sail on her maiden voyage on April 10, 1912. This was not just any ship, but the Titanic, a marvel of maritime engineering. Towering above the sea, she was longer than 3 football fields and as tall as an 11-story building. With her opulent interiors and unmatched luxury, she was a floating palace that promised an unforgettable voyage. Her passengers were a who's who of the era's elite, eager to experience the grandeur of the most luxurious liner ever built. From the bustling streets of Southampton, England, their destination was the glittering skyline of New York City, USA. The Titanic, with her touted unsinkability, was seen as the epitome of human achievement. This maiden voyage was met with unprecedented anticipation and excitement. Everyone believed they were witnessing a new era in maritime history. Little did they know, this voyage would etch an indelible mark in history. Fast forward to the night of April 14th, a seemingly serene night on the North Atlantic Ocean. The Titanic, a marvel of human engineering, was making her voyage across the icy waters, her passengers unaware of the impending doom. Earlier that day, the crew had received multiple iceberg warnings from other ships, but the Titanic, deemed unsinkable by her creators, ignored the warnings and continued to sail at full speed. It was a decision that would seal the fate of the ship and her passengers. As the night drew on, the ship's lookout spotted an iceberg, a massive mountain of ice looming in the darkness. It was too late. At precisely 11:40 p.m., there was a shuddering jolt as the Titanic collided with the iceberg. The frigid ice ripping open the ship's hull. Panic ensued. The ship was sinking. But the true horror was not the sinking itself. It was the realization of the lack of lifeboats. The Titanic, this grand symbol of human achievement, was equipped with only 20 lifeboats, enough for barely half of her passengers. It was a cruel irony, a tragic oversight in the design of the unsinkable ship. The crew scrambled, launching lifeboats into the icy ocean. The women and children first policy left many men on the ship, their faces etched with fear and despair. The lifeboats, most not filled to their full capacity, drifted away, leaving hundreds of passengers still on the Titanic. The sound of the ship's orchestra, playing in a desperate attempt to calm the passengers, echoed hauntingly in the night. As the clock ticked, the Titanic began her descent into the icy waters. A chilling silence fell over the scene, broken only by the cries of those left behind. The Titanic, the unsinkable, was sinking, and with her the hopes and dreams of her passengers. In the early hours of April 15th, the unsinkable was sinking. A chilling reality began to dawn on the passengers and crew of the Titanic. A sense of urgency filled the air. The ship, once a symbol of human ingenuity, was now a ticking time bomb. As the freezing Atlantic waters began to fill the lower compartments, frantic attempts to evacuate were underway. Lifeboats were scarce, and the protocol for women and children first left many men with a grim prospect. The ship's orchestra, in a bid to maintain calm, played on, their notes hanging heavily in the frosty air. Meanwhile, chaos reigned on the decks. Desperate pleas for help, cries of confusion, and the sheer noise of the impending disaster created a cacophonous symphony of despair. The crew worked tirelessly, attempting to maintain order amidst the pandemonium, but the Titanic was a wounded beast, groaning and shuddering as it was slowly claimed by the sea. Passengers clung to each other, tearful goodbyes were exchanged, and prayers were whispered into the biting wind. The reality of the situation had sunk in, and the Titanic was a scene of heartbreaking human drama. As the bow plunged deeper, the stern rose higher, causing the ship to break apart under the enormous strain. The unsinkable Titanic, once a marvel of the Edwardian era, was now a fractured shell of its former glory. The ship's lights flickered once, twice, and then plunged the scene into darkness, only the haunting wails of the ship's whistle punctuating the silence. Around 2:20 in the morning, the Titanic succumbed to the Atlantic's icy grip. The once majestic liner slipped beneath the waves, leaving only a field of debris and lifeboats filled with shock survivors in her wake. In less than 3 hours, the Titanic met her tragic end. The unsinkable ship had sunk, taking with her a piece of history and leaving behind a legacy that would continue to captivate the world for more than a century. Morning broke on a scene of utter devastation. As the sun's first rays pierced the icy Atlantic fog, the rescue efforts of the RMS Carpathia, a ship that would become synonymous with hope amidst despair, were underway. The Carpathia had received Titanic's distress call in the early hours and raced full steam ahead through the perilous iceberg-laden waters to reach the sinking vessel. The Carpathia's crew, under the command of Captain Arthur Rostron, worked tirelessly to rescue survivors. It was a scene of frantic activity, with the crew hoisting aboard lifeboats filled with dazed and freezing survivors, their faces etched with the rawness of their ordeal. The hope of rescue, however, was a cold comfort for those who had lost their loved ones to the icy depths. The horror of the night unfolded as the survivors waited in their lifeboats. The numbing cold, the cries for help that gradually fell silent, and the haunting echo of Titanic's final moments created a chilling tableau that would be etched in their memories forever. The survivors who had boarded Titanic with dreams of a new beginning were now left to grapple with the grim reality of their survival and the immense loss they had witnessed. The death toll of the Titanic disaster was horrific. More than 1,500 lives were lost to the icy Atlantic that fateful night. The world gasped in shock at the magnitude of the tragedy. The unsinkable Titanic had sunk, and with it, the era's faith in technological invincibility was shattered. News of the disaster spread across continents, plunging the world into mourning. Families were torn apart, dreams were shattered, and the magnitude of the loss was felt deeply. The world grieved for the lives lost and the ship that was supposed to be a beacon of luxury and safety. In the grim aftermath of the disaster, the world was left to ponder the cost of human hubris and the fragility of life. The world stood still, mourning the loss of the Titanic and the lives it took with it. The Titanic tragedy echoes through time, a stark reminder of human folly. It's a tale that continues to reverberate in our collective memory, reminding us of the fine line between hubris and humility, ambition and catastrophe. In the wake of the Titanic's sinking, the world was forced to confront the stark reality of maritime safety. It was a wake-up call that led to immediate and sweeping changes in maritime regulations. New laws were enacted to ensure adequate lifeboats for all passengers and crew, regardless of their class. A 24-hour radio watch became mandatory to ensure distress calls wouldn't go unheard. The tragedy also led to the creation of the International Ice Patrol, a direct response to the iceberg that sealed Titanic's fate. This organization, a part of the United States Coast Guard, monitors iceberg danger in the North Atlantic and provides safe routes for ships. It stands as a living testament to the lessons learned from the Titanic disaster, a beacon of safety in the treacherous waters that once claimed the unsinkable ship. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Titanic is the fascination it continues to inspire. Books, movies, documentaries, and exhibitions have kept the Titanic story alive, engaging new generations in its poignant narrative. The ship's grandeur, the tragic loss of life, and the heroism displayed by some in the face of certain death, these elements keep us riveted. The Titanic also serves as a poignant reminder of the class disparities that existed at the time, with the disproportionate loss of life among third-class passengers. It's a sobering reflection of the societal norms of the era, and a stark reminder of the inequalities that we continue to grapple with today. Even after a century, the Titanic continues to captivate us, a haunting tale of ambition, disaster, and loss. It's an enduring echo of a tragedy that forever changed the way we navigate the seas, and the way we view our own human vulnerabilities. In the end, the Titanic serves as a timeless lesson, a symbol of human achievement and grandeur. The Titanic was a marvel of its time. Yet it was also a victim of human arrogance, with numerous warnings of danger ignored, leading to the unimaginable, the sinking of the unsinkable. The tragic night of April 15, 1912, saw a disaster that claimed over 1,500 lives, a catastrophe that shook the world to its core. The aftermath was a period of sorrow and reflection, a time to reckon with the high price of hubris. The echoes of this tragedy continue to resonate even over a century later. The Titanic's enduring legacy serves as a stark reminder of our fallibility, a poignant testament to the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of the sea. The Titanic, once a symbol of human achievement, now rests at the bottom of the Atlantic, a poignant reminder of our fallibility.